Hello, everyone, and welcome to Historically Black Sense News. I'm your host, Shamai Cook, and we have a great show for you. So let's get started. Our first guest tonight is a recent graduate of Tennessee State University in the 96 Miss Tennessee State University. Please welcome a friend to the show and a friend of mine, Kennedy Renee Chambers, to the show. Hello, Kennedy.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Shamai. Thank you, Historically Black Sense News, for having me on the show. It's an honor.
Oh, I'm just glad to see you. I'm glad to see you as well. Thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate you so much. You recently announced that you were graduating early. You graduated early this December after serving as Miss Tennessee State University. Uh, in what led you to make the decision, and how does it feel to go into this next chapter of your life?
Well, I'll start with how does it feel? It feels amazing. I am happy. I am blessed. God has been doing just the unexpected, just been blowing my mind. If anyone knows that gospel song, God, You Can Blow My Mind, He has been doing just that. As I stated in my letter, I did write a very thought out and heartfelt address to the student body of Tennessee State University, where I did share. I came into Tennessee State University as a freshman with college credits already. I did dual enrollment while I was in high school.
Okay.
So therefore, I was already ahead to graduate anyway, coming into college, and I was already on track to graduate fall of 2025.
Yeah.
However, through my college matriculation and when I took on the amazing opportunity to run my campaign as to be the 96 Miss Tennessee State University, and I won by the grace of God, I was aware of the year-long responsibility that comes with this position, with the reign.
Yeah.
So it's very common. I don't know how others do it at other HBCUs, but it's very common for student leaders at my university, where if you are on track to graduate early, you'll pick up a minor, you'll pick up some type of extra
Yeah.
courses to prolong your stay so that you can stay in that reign for the full term. So that is what I did. When I won, I picked up a minor, and my minor really had nothing to do with what my career goals were after college. But, for the reign, for, the crown, I picked up a minor, and I was told by my advisor that I would have to take 18 credit hours in my spring semester, my last semester of college, to graduate in May 2026 and to take that minor. Excuse me. And as I stated in my letter, I, knew that I would be taking on a larger course load, but I was willing to do it to be able to fulfill my year-long reign as Miss TSU. However, as I stated in my letter in my student address, over the course of my reign, I did experience, challenges and obstacles in my reign that made me wiser. It made me more resilient, and I just learned so much from it. But after careful thought, after deep reflection, after much prayer, I came to the decision to go ahead and decide on my next chapter, and of what God has in store for me, which is going into my graduate studies, getting my master's, starting my career, and just focusing on the beautiful next chapter that God has for me. And as far as how I feel about graduating, like I said, I am just ecstatic. I graduated summa cum laude, 3.8 GPA, debt free. I came into TSU on a full ride. I am thankful. I am blessed, as I said again, and just everything that I was able to accomplish
Yeah.
during my tenure at Tennessee State University, every dream, every goal that I had, I had it set and I had it met and I accomplished it. So I have left TSU just full. My heart is
Yeah.
full. So, yes.
And your name is ingrained into the university archive, so your name will live forever in that university. So what
Yes.
did you go through exactly? What specifically did you go through to make you make that decision to say, like, okay, I don't want to take on this course load?
So, the challenges that I experienced were not anything that isn't common that other students and student leadership go through.
Yeah.
And as I stated in my letter, I have made myself available to be there for the queens that come after me,
Yeah.
to help them navigate similar challenges that they may go through. As I've said, and in my platform where I ran for Miss Tennessee State University, I ran on the platform of legacy.
Yeah.
And that stood for leading with purpose, empowering others, growing through challenges, having authenticity in every step while committing to TSU. And that wasn't just a campaign that I did to win this crown that is on my head. That is a lifelong promise. That is a commitment. So whether I'm a full-time student now, whether I am a proud alumni that I am now, the legacy does continue. That is something that I stand by. That is something that I live by. My work is not over. I have projects, I have service, I have things that I'm still actively working on to continue to pour not only into my beloved alma mater, but worldwide, nationwide, to HBCUs across the country, to communities all over. So yes, my work is not done. It continues, and my legacy does continue.
Back in September, a conservative group, was removed off of TSU's campus after an unannounced visit, and it sparked some big uproar in the HBCU community. How did the student body react, and how did it help you guys come together?
I would say, and you're speaking specifically to Tennessee State University students.
Correct. Yes.
I would say we were all shocked. This is something that shook everyone.
Yeah.
It's not common that you were walking from the CAF, walking from the library, and see, like you said, a conservative group just sitting down in chairs and having this debate to provoke Black HBCU students. So, with that being said, although students were angry, students were hurt by this, it was a time that was scary. It was a time that was confusing. Like, how did this happen? How did we get here? However, I will say that TSU came together more than we ever have before. And that's something that I cherish so much about my TSU family. We are a true Tiger family, and we came together to make sure that everyone was safe. Our president, I have a great relationship with our president, Dwayne Tucker. He made sure to have a student body meeting afterwards. He had the type of meeting with our SGA president, our SGA vice president, where student concerns could be heard and their concerns could be met. So it wasn't just this crazy event happen. It's going off in the media and we were just left astray. There were things that were put into place to make sure that the student needs and the safety of the students were the priority. And that is something that I'm very proud to say, especially with this is something that happened right before homecoming. So there was an extreme increase in the security for our homecoming. There was never a point, and especially me being queen, where I'm a public figure, where I'm out here on floats in a parade, that can be scary in the Nashville community where you were just here with people, where you felt threatened. Correct. So I felt safe. I know that students felt safe, and we were reassured that TSU really did care about the safety of the students.
That's great. That's great. Especially being at a public HBCU. It's really anybody could come on there. So it's great that your campus made sure that everybody felt safe, and especially during those time at their homecoming. Now you're going. Now that you are an alumna of Tennessee State University, you're going to pursue your master's degree, but not in journalism. You are mass comm. You study mass comm.
Yes.
In your undergrad, but for grad, you're going to pick another route. Why is that?
That is a great question, Shamai, considering that you and I actually experienced being at a journalism internship together. Yes, fun fact. Yeah. So that is a great question. I will say, and this is advice to anyone, like current students, post-grad students that are trying to navigate life once they've just gotten out of undergrad, whether you're trying to go into the workforce or whether you're trying to get your master's or whether you're just trying to take a mental break after, because college is a lot. It's just a huge accomplishment just to graduate in general. But this is my advice to anyone watching. Don't get so attached to the path that you think that you have for yourself, that when God presents you with something else and he's like, daughter, I have something else for you that you would have never even imagined in 1,000 years. Don't be so attached to what you thought you wanted. that you block the blessing that God is having for you. And I say that with my reign, my journey as Miss TSU. I say that with my journey as coming from a journalism undergraduate student to going into my master's, wanting to pursue educational leadership. So to answer your question, it's actually funny because, as you said, I came in as a mass communications student. I studied on the journalism track. And since my freshman year, I came in thinking that I wanted to be a news anchor.
And she's
And
really
it's
good,
so,
people. She's really good. She can
oh,
read a
thank
prompter.
you.
Her delivery is great. Check
Thank
check
you.
her out, people. But okay, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm learning from the best. But yeah, so learning from the best.
Not me, all right? The best, but we digress.
Oh, please. Okay. But yeah, so I went in as a journalism major. And fun fact, Oprah had the same major as me, and
That's
she's a
right. At
proud
Tennessee
alumni
State.
of, yes, of Tennessee
Yes.
State University. So yes, I thought I wanted to be a news anchor. I thought I wanted to go into the journalism world. And don't get me wrong, I still do have a love for journalism, for storytelling, for interviewing, and just having an impact on the community in that way. However, through my internships, even though it was an amazing experience, I learned, I was like, is this actually what I want to do with my life? I was trying to just see, but that is the beauty in internships, where you figure out, is this what I want to do, or is this not what I want to do? And you won't find that out unless you take that leap of faith to go to the internship, to go through the work experience.
Yeah.
So I was in, it's like I had a revelation over the summer. I was home, I was preparing for my senior year, and something just dawned on me where I was like, is this really what I want to do? And like I said, still have a love for journalism, but something was unsure. And when you're unsure, you take that moment to just think of, okay, let me weigh all of my options. Of course, in my senior year, I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm about to change my major all of a sudden. You're in your senior year. We weren't about to do that. That would have been crazy. However, I started thinking about my journey, my full journey, through TSU. I started thinking about my journey as Miss Junior. For the ones that don't know, I did have the absolute honor of serving as Miss Junior for the 2024-2025 academic year before I was blessed with winning the prestigious title of the 96 Miss Tennessee State University. So, and with that, I also served as a Tiger tour guide, being an ambassador for the university, pouring into the university in that way, and really just getting a taste of the beauty of working in student affairs before even being like a real life employee in student affairs at a university. So I was thinking, and I was just on my computer looking at jobs and looking at, just trying to get a feel for, why am I having this, this unsureness about what I want to do with my life all of a sudden. And I realized through research and really thinking about what really brings me joy, I discovered a new passion of mine through literally doing what I have on, the sash that I have on, the crown that I have on. Through Miss Junior, through Miss TSU, I was able to pour into the student body. I was able to host events. I was able to be an ambassador, a spokesperson for the university, and really just be hands-on with the student body. And through reflection, I realized how impactful my entire college experience was. And I was like, wow, I really see myself turning this into a career. And I realized really how passionate I was about it. And a light bulb went off in my head. And I was like, God, is this where you want me to go with my career? Because of so much that I've done in it, with my long student resume, what if I turn this into my actual career? So with that being said, I got clarity from him. Me and him, we were going back and forth, going back and forth. And I was like, you know what? Of course, I'm not going to change my major. As you know, mass comm is very broad. So I can do really anything with it.
Yeah.
And I can still use my mass communication skills, my interpersonal communication skills, everything that I've learned in that sector to, be a foundation for my master's. And to tell anyone who may be in a situation like me where you're unsure, always remember that your bachelor's is your foundation. It's literally just where you start. Your master's is where you really like hone in on what you want to do with your life. So that is where I realized, I was like, wow, I really want a career where, well, I was like, I had such an amazing college experience. I really want a career where I can give that to the next generation of students. And that is where my light bulb went off, where I was like, can go into higher education. That is where your true passion is.
Yeah.
So, and of course, I'm still going to use my mass comm, certified yapper, TV personnel.
We
That's
know
always
that.
going to be me.
Yeah.
But yes, I found joy in really like, wow, that is what I want to do. So, long story short, that is why I will be pursuing my master's in educational leadership. And I plan on going into the higher education field where I can pour into students in their educational journey. And especially, I would love to highlight the HBCU community as well, since that is where I come from. And I'm especially passionate about that as well.
And she right. She is a certified yapper, guys. Just sit with her at dinner. We both
You can't
together are
talk
yappers.
Shemai.
We
You
both
can't
we,
talk Shemai.
we both yeah. I'm saying I know we both yappers. That's why
We
we get
both
along.
do. We
We both,
both do.
Kennedy can sing. See, she a good night with Kennedy and karaoke change your life. Okay, but let's get back to you about you. You are multi-talented. You can, like I said, you can sing. You were part of the gospel choir over there.
Yes. Shout out to the
Yes,
award-winning,
with the
Grammy
Grammy
award-winning
Award
University
winning is
Gospel
right.
Choir.
Yes.
Yes.
And then you were an honor student, and like you said, you managed over a 3.0 GPA.
Mm-hmm.
What was the secret to managing all this?
That is a good question. I will say, okay, even though I have a long student resume, I didn't do everything at the same time.
Okay.
That made things a little easier. So like came in as a freshman, your freshman year, and it's actually crazy. Little backstory. I wanted to be Miss Freshman. Well, I thought I wanted to run as Miss Freshman when I came in my first year at TSU. But when I went to the informational, they were saying everything that you had to have done in like a week and have your money ready and your posters ready. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just moved into my dorm. Hold on. This is too much. And I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna wait a little longer because I know I have this in me, but let me just take a little time to really, dip my feet in the water, get comfortable as a college student first, and then we'll go for the big run.
Yes.
So yes, that's how I got here. So yes. But so my freshman year, I did come in my freshman year as an honor student. I was in the honors college, so I was balancing that. And then I joined the Grammy Award-winning New Direction Gospel Choir. Shout out to them. I love them so much. I joined that my second semester of freshman year.
Okay.
So I was pretty much balancing because I didn't just join everything at the same time. It was over a course of time. And then my sophomore year, I had the pleasure of gaining membership in Love You Like a Sister Incorporated, which is a community service organization on campus. We hosted plenty of events, did a bunch of service in the Nashville community. I was able to do that. I was able to join Pre-Alumni Council, which is where you're a part of an organization that connects you to Tennessee State alumni while you're still a student at TSU. Wow. We did plenty of events with that and service, and it was just wonderful. And then I want to say second semester of sophomore year, that is when I decided to run for Miss Junior. That is when I decided to go for my big role. And this is actually a testimony that I have that I'll make it short. I ran for Miss Hale Hall. Shemai, at your university, do they have like
walls for different
yeah,
for
do they have
dorms?
like queen roles for the dorms?
Yes, we do. I was the president. I was the president of my dorm. Shout out McLeod Hall. Yes, I was the president of my dorm.
Okay, love that. Little backstory on me. I ran from, so like I said, I thought I wanted to run for Miss Freshman, but then I realized it was a little too much for little old me coming straight into college. And I was like, we're gonna wait to handle the big stuff once I've gotten some skin in the game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so,
you gotta start small. Yeah,
right. So I actually ran for Miss Hale Hall my freshman year because I wanted to go out for like, a smaller position just to get my feet wet a little bit and, just start small, like you said. I lost. I ran again sophomore year for Miss Hale Hall because I stayed in that same dorm. I lost. But then I ran for Miss Junior that same year and won. The next year after that, I ran for the 96 Miss Tennessee State University and I won. So that is my testimony of God will really like close certain doors or block off certain opportunities that are smaller, too small for you. Because God was telling me, daughter, that's too small. I have something so much greater, so much bigger. So that's a testimony that I always tell people. People at my school, they know that is my testimony that I will shout from the rooftops. But yes, to answer your question, how I balanced it all, I'm not going to say it was easy because it was not. On top of doing everything that I did, and especially between Miss Junior and Miss TSU, I also was operating my own hair braiding business. I recently retired from doing hair as I focus on my actual career goals. But I was operating my own hair braiding business, to keep money in my pocket. We hate the broke college student. We needed some money in our pockets. So I was doing that. I was in my other organizations on top of being queen. And I want to say I balanced it the best that I could by keeping an agenda, keeping a calendar. This past year I had a big whiteboard in my room where I just wrote down everything. So I would wake up and literally see what I got to do. Check off, okay, we got that done. Check, we got that done. Check. So just trying my best to be organized.
Mm.
And I would say having a support system, not doing everything alone. My support system within my friends, within my family, they were the ones that really kept me going. The days where I would be so stressed, the days where I would be like, oh, this is so much on me, and I'm just overwhelmed because college is hard, and being
Yes.
involved on top of that, it's a lot. So I would say having a good support system, doing my best with time management. It can be hard, but just trying my best
Woo.
with that, and just trying to stay organized with like my agenda, my to-do list, and all of that. And by the grace of God, that's really how I
Amen.
managed it all. If that was really a cutesy answer, but if I really want to be real, the grace of God helped me manage everything.
Amen.
So
Uh,
yes.
Listen, going through like it seemed like every week, especially during football season, you and your court had some great outfits on. What was some of the inspirations behind those outfits with you and your king?
Wow. I would say, what was our inspiration? I hate to say me, but really, like, okay, I'll say this. When
You guys had a good budget, probably. Let me get that out the way, probably.
yeah, okay. But we worked, okay, I will say this.
Okay,
We worked with what we had.
okay, that's
Yes,
fair.
we did. We
Okay,
worked with what we had. However, I would say what my inspiration was coming from knowing, like, I would say I studied past courts before, and with me serving on a court prior to me being Miss TSU, I served as Miss Junior on the former Miss TSU's court. So I was able to use inspiration from, ooh, I like the way that she had us dressed, because the way that you already know how royal court works. The
right.
queen, she has her designated outfit, and then the court queens, they wear the same outfit, same with the court kings. So when I was a court queen as Miss Junior, I gained inspiration from the queen that I served under, and I would be like, okay, I really like that silver jumpsuit that we had on. Let me try to find something like that for my court to wear this year, or something like that. So I tried to gain inspiration from the past, people who served before me, because, like I said, I ran on the platform of legacy. So why you gotta honor the people that came before you. You gotta know where you came from to know where you're going.
Yeah.
So I really used that. And on top of wanting to implement some different things too, even with hairstyles, even with certain accessories, I wanted to implement things that I hadn't seen as well. So I would say that's where my inspiration came from, and other HBCUs, because look, people, I give them their props. FAMU, Howard, they are some of my favorite courts to look at. Of course, I can't even name all of them, but they just seeing other
Yeah.
HBCUs and their excellence, I would gain inspiration from them as well.
You mentioned choosing peace and faith as you close this next chapter. What advice would you give to people, especially young women, navigating their own unexpected transitions right now in this season of their life?
Oh, that is a good one. I would say trust the process.
Mm.
Trust the process. And going back to what I mentioned earlier with, do not get so attached to the path that you have for yourself, because you can go through life with a certain to-do list, life with a certain itinerary of, oh, I'm going to do this when I'm 22. I'm going to have my own house, my own car at 25. I'm going to be married by 24. You can go through life, especially as a woman. We may have those type of goals where you just try to plan out your entire life in a way where, and it can be unrealistic at sometimes. But I would say for choosing peace, I would say you gotta know how to put yourself first, and that can be very hard in these type of roles when it's so much pressure and you are representing, a huge amount of people at a university. However, I would say it's very important to take care of yourself, to take care of yourself and you know to put yourself first. And as far as navigating like the future, I would say trust in God. For the believers out there, you must trust in God even when you do not. You have to lean not into your own understanding, because when you're trying to just go off of, oh, well, I thought that it was going to go this way and I wanted everything to go this way, but God is saying, daughter, I have something different for you. I have a different path. And
Mm,
as I stated in my letter, I decided to listen to God's whisper in making my decision. I decided to listen to God's whisper instead of the loudness of the expectation that came with this role.
yeah.
So, yes.
Well, Kennedy, it was so great catching up with you. We gotta meet up sometime outside of here. Best of luck to you, grad school. You're Auntie Kennedy now, by the way. So you're Auntie now.
I do have a niece, so I'll take that. I am an auntie.
Yeah.
I am an auntie.
Thank you so much. Beth, do you know where you're going to grad school? Or you're still in the process of looking.
In the process of looking, but
Okay.
I am probably deciding on Kennesaw State University.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Okay, good for you. Well,
Mhm.
thank you so much, Kennedy Chambers, everyone. The 96 Miss Tennessee State University. We appreciate you. It was great seeing you. Thank you so much, Kennedy. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you all.
Let's bring in my friend and pal, alumni of FAMU University, Deuce Tucker, in the building. Let's start our discussion question of the day. How you doing, Deuce? Long time no see, my brother.
Yeah, it's been a little minute. How you doing,
It's
brother?
been a minute. I am blessed, black, and highly favored. Listen, finals are wrapping up. December graduation is happening. Let's talk about how students transition from fall semester to the spring semester. So, Deuce, you are an alumni of FAMU, like I said earlier.
hmm
So, I would love to get your take on how does winter break, the winter break reset look like for you, past tense, because you're an alumni. So, looks like for you personally, and how did it prepare for you for the fall semester into the new year?
Man, honestly, this might sound so simplistic, but keeping the main thing the main thing. A lot of
Ooh,
times we get comfortable when it comes to any type of circumstance or wherever we're at in life. Let's say if you receive four A's and a couple of B's, you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be fine next year. And all of a sudden, a whole whirlwind of storms and controversy comes your
ooh,
way. But how
yeah.
you can be able to bounce back and pivot? I feel like as long as you're able to consistently do the under as long as you're consistently able to withhold yourself from things that distracts you, get you off of your toes, and not necessarily allow you to align with your passions, that's when you start going downhill. But if you're able to actually have that foundation when it comes to the consistent planning, as well as understanding the importance of where you are and why you're there, then you might have to spread yourself, not necessarily thin, but a little more than what you actually had to do in the previous semesters. But you can be good. You got to take advantage of your opportunities and your circumstances.
Now, do you fully reset during break? Did you fully reset during break, or did you stay on your grind? Did you take because the break is different so for people who don't understand what college is, break is like a good month and a half. You're off the whole December, depending what institution you go.
Yeah, month and a half.
Yeah,
God,
HBCU.
God bless.
My HBCU. How about that? Fayetteville State, we are out for a month and a half. We are done. My finals are done the first week in December,
Okay.
and we don't return until the second week in January. So that's a good
That's
month and
about a
some
month. That's a
change.
month. That's a
It's
month.
a month and some change, but it's different for different campuses. So that's why I'm saying that. I had to
Yeah.
round it up because it's different, it's subject to change for different campuses. So how did you fully rest up, or did you fully rest up, or did you stay on your grind during break?
Brother, I didn't look at a school book that whole time, man. Like, because I feel as if when it comes to college,
Yeah.
it's a different atmosphere. Not necessarily when it comes to socializing, but when it comes to the academics as well. When you're in
Right.
high school, I'm going to say you have an idea of what is expected, but when it comes to college, you have a control of the narrative that you're able to give. So let's say, for instance, if you have 5 classes your fall semester and you might have for your spring semester.
Yeah.
If you're able to balance those 5 and coordinate them with your schedule the way you like them, from you might have a class at 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. and then maybe an elective that is you only have to attend 1 day a week. You're able to balance that a little more easily. I'm not gonna say easily, but a little more with a little more understanding, just because of the principle. You're able to actually have space. You're actually able to ground your mind and allow you to be able to have that understanding of what it's like just to relax, gather yourself and gather your thoughts. So I read a little bit when it comes to like a book that can give me some type of understanding and knowledge in reference to life.
Yeah.
But I didn't look at a school book not one time. So yeah.
You probably didn't even open up the laptop either.
Yeah, absolutely. No. This is my break. Watch my TV, hang with my friends,
Yeah,
and just get some things together. That's all.
you know, sometimes during like for break, it's the holiday season, so you're around family. Sometimes, do you ever get tired of like, you know, okay, it's time to go? Like, you get sick of your family. Like, we love our family, but sometimes you get like sick of them, and then you were like, is it time to go back on campus?
You know what's crazy? It was crazy because I remember back in college, everybody, you know, had their group chats and stuff, and we're like, man, like, I'm glad to be off. I'm glad to be out of school. I'm glad to have this break. And then a week and a half come, man, when is school coming back? Because you got to think about it. The pros outweigh the cons when you are in college. So you might be down on your luck when it comes to some bread, or you might, you know, have to go to class. But when you're at home, you have the limitations. You have questions in your face. I understand your parents will call and you ask you, hey, is everything okay? You have a unlimited amount of pressure when it comes to reaching certain expectations in regards to your family, your siblings, and unnecessary responsibilities that you don't have to worry about when you're in college. When you go to college, you're learning how to pivot and transition from a young man or a young boy or girl to a man or a woman. But the freedom is so breathtaking that it's like, wow, I'm so thankful to be at college, you know, because it's like you have that middle ground of an adult, but still a kid at the same time. So you're able just to have that freelance of fun and, you know, activity. So absolutely, 100%. My parents, as soon as they did that,
back to this.
Trying to go back to Tallahassee. It's time.
I
love you.
Okay, one last question, because we have our next guest here. Well, I've seen some stuff on TikTok like this. I saw this freshman. She said she had 50 absences, and you know she went from being a high honor roll student in high school to now having like 15 absences and all that. Went to like a 2 something GPA in her first semester. What message you would give to someone who just completed their first semester in college and is not going the best for them right now, and they probably feel so overwhelmed? How can they bounce back, Deuce? What's your take on that?
Well, first thing, don't do that. Like 15 absences for your first semester is insane, man. And it's not like
I think it was combined with all classes. So
it's not to judge anyone.
Yeah.
However, you have to understand, you have to keep the main thing. It's going back to my original quote. You have to keep the main thing the main thing. Yeah. We're here to actually learn, grow, and be able to make money and actually have a career after college, not just waste time and waste our parents' money as well as our money. It's absurd. I feel as if you have gotten off on the wrong track, you need to surround yourself with a community that is on the right track. And that's what one of the things I had to do when it came to college. I was able to find a couple of friends who subconsciously inspired me to be better when it came to the way I dressed, the way I talked, the way I moved, and the way that I pursued and approached every type of opportunity when it came to me being able to gain more knowledge within the classroom as well as out. So it's all about the way you surround yourself and what you actually put into your mind. And then we're at HBCU, you see so many greatness. I feel like it's hard to not necessarily be inspired if you are just want to be, you know, a hard body, but you're literally here to get a degree. I just don't understand the purpose of that. But I feel as if when you surround yourself by good company, you're only able to continue to evolve instead of, you know, die down.
Thank you, Deuce. Thank you so much. Let's bring in our next guest today. Our next guest is a junior animal science student at Tuskegee State University. Excuse me. Please welcome with Ronasia Staton to the show.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, how are you? Thank you so
I'm
much for
good.
coming. Sorry
Thank
for that.
you for
Yes,
having
I want to
me.
make sure I say that right. Tuskegee University.
Yes, Tuskegee
Yes.
University.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Ronasia, thank you so much. I'm great. I am great. During your freshman year, you first noticed the issue of the water on your campus, and you wanted to spark some conversation with your peers about ways to improve it on your campus and campus
Yes.
life. When did you realize I need to do something about this?
So it was probably within the first month of me being there. It was extremely hot outside. And I'm from the East Coast, so I wasn't used to like the Alabama heat.
Okay.
So coming there and then just having to walk around, I noticed that a lot of students were passing out. It would be every time I go to a building, I would see ambulances at the building
Oh,
because
wow.
students would pass out. Yes. And
Wow.
that happened maybe like every week.
Mm.
And so I also started to talk to my peers. I talked to a lot of foreign exchange students because they had to walk as well. And just more so of the freshman class because most of them walked. And so I kind of talked to as many people as I could and asked them how they felt about it not being either no fresh water on campus or most of the water fountains were broke. So it was just not accessible. And then also the cafeteria hours, they weren't that good. It wasn't reliable. It wasn't a reliable source of purified water. And so I tried to have as many constructive conversations as possible. And actually, the person that pushed me to start this initiative was my RA. His name was Kendrick. And I was complaining to him like every day. I was like, how is there no water stations? They don't provide any water bottles. People are literally passing out. And it kind of frustrated me. And one day he was just like, so why don't you do something about it since you're complaining so much? And
Did he say that smartly, or did he say that like to motivate you?
No. He actually said it like in a encouraging way.
Okay.
Like, why don't you, if you're complaining so much, why don't you why are you waiting for somebody to take a stand? Why don't you just do it? And so that is when I started my project, which was TU Cool Off. And ever since then, it's just been something that has been on my mind, and it finally came to life this year.
Yeah, as an animal science student, balancing academics while leading, initiatives, what keeps you motivated?
I think what kept me motivated was honestly my peers. Kendrick Calhoun, he definitely helped me. My friends, my family, they all knew that it was something very important to me. And also, I think just knowing within myself that I didn't want to give up on a project that was so important to myself, and just knowing that I could bring such a difference to the community, that kept me moving.
You went from being a frustrated freshman to now leading a project sponsored by the Amazon. Walk us through how you turned, your conversation in, your frustration about the water on campus into action with Amazon.
So first, as I said, I started off with conversations. It started off just going to people's dorms, knocking on their door, asking them, okay, how do you feel about it being so hot? How do you feel about there not being no purified water on campus?
Yeah.
Are the water fountains in your dorms working? Are they not working? Are they good? Do you use them? How's the caf hours? So I started off with those conversations. And then what I did was I started, I kind of mapped out the distance between each building. So I went around campus and I mapped out like the average pace to walk, how long it took to get to each building. They range from around 12 to 15 minutes from point A to point B. Yeah. And then I seen how long it takes to get around the entire campus. Then I started looking up the weather. What was the average temperature in Tuskegee, Alabama? It was very high temperatures. It was over 95. And so that's when I started trying to talk to people who I felt like could actually help. Okay. So I moved on to, at the time, my SGA president, shout out to Amari Hardy. He really kept me going for months. He actually is the one who connected me to the Amazon sponsor. The Amazon sponsor, his name is Mr. Burnett. He bought the water fountains, the water stations. He bought those to Tuskegee, and so it was a long process, honestly. And sometimes it did feel like I just wanted to give up because I did not know if it was going to work, if it wasn't going to work. A lot of the times, I thought that it was going to be on campus last year, and it just came this year. So it was definitely a lot of pushbacks, a lot of holds, but I just had to stay consistent. And definitely Amari Hardy, the SGA president, he helped me so much. If it wasn't for him, honestly, it probably would not be on campus right now because he made that connect with the Amazon sponsor. He helped me get it verified from Tuskegee. So he definitely helped a lot.
Well, shout out to President
Amari Hardy, yes.
Yes. Shout out to him. One more question. What advice, a lot of people get a little timid or get worried about like different issues or afraid to speak out. What advice you would give to people, to college students in general, who see problems on their campus, but they don't know where to start?
That is an issue that I personally struggled with. I felt like, dang, is anybody going to care about water? Like, is it that serious? Is it really that big of a deal? But I had to know in my heart that I felt like that was something right to do. And I feel like if you have an issue with something, 9 times out of 10, somebody else has that same issue, especially because, you're sharing living quarters, you're staying on the same campus. And a lot of people do share the same issues, whether you think it or not. So I would say the first thing to do is start those conversations with your peers. You live on campus. There's somewhere everywhere you go. So start those conversations. Don't be shy, and just make sure that you stay persistent with it.
Ronasia Staton, thank you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tuskegee University. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Keep up the great work. We appreciate it. We need clean water.
Bye.
Alabama. But we appreciate
it. So much.
Thank you so much. Well, that does it for us here at Historically Black Sense. We love you for watching. For all of us here at Historically Black Sense, I'm Shamai Cook.
I'm Deuce Tucker.
And we will see you guys next week. Same time, same place. The action never stops. Stay black. Black power.
Stay blessed. Hello.